Don't touch that dial. You're tuned in to the Dread Podcast Network.
Welcome to Development Hell. For every horror movie that hits V.O.D, countless others end up D.O.A. Development Hell is the podcast dedicated to unearthing these cursed horror productions. We're going to find out what went wrong, and then decide if these titles still stand a shot at the green light. I am your host, Josh Korngut. I am the managing editor of Dread Central. I am also a filmmaker in Toronto, Canada. This podcast is a proud member of the Dread Podcast Network. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Development Hell. Before we get to our episode today, we have an announcement. I will be leading a virtual discussion this Friday on a brand new platform called Gallery. Gallery is a new film club that combines a curated library that you can stream, thoughtful articles, live experiences, and it's all in one place. And so they've asked me to bring an exclusive Development Hell seminar of sorts this Friday, which is going to be at 3 p.m. EST or 12 Pacific. In it, I'm going to be doing a live discussion about unmade Alfred Hitchcock. I have yet to cover him on the podcast. I've always wanted to. And in honor of Hitchcock's, iconic thriller mystery, The Lady Vanishes, which is available to stream now on Gallery this October, I'm going to lead a deep dive convo into the unrealized films of Hitchcock, but more specifically, the unrealized genre films, horror, suspense, thriller. And so focus is going to be the psychosexual exploitation film Kaleidoscope. It did eventually turn into Frenzy. It's crazy. And there's also a Disneyland set murder mystery by the name of The Blind Man. So you're going to want to check it out and sign up for Gallery. So if you go to gallery.com, you're going to learn more. That's GALERIE.com this Friday, 3 p.m. Okay, well, thank you. And now, today's episode, we are in our finale of the Dark Universe miniseries. I don't know how we've gotten here. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. We are, as you know, going through the infamously canceled reboot movies that Universal Studios was developing, turning their iconic monsters into a new ecosystem of action-heavy, MCU-style monstrosities. On our last episode today, we will once again give like a brief rundown on what the fuck Dark Universe was, but more specifically, we are deep diving into everything related to the Wolfman, but specifically what the new Wolfman within Dark Universe could have looked like. We're going to talk about the past, the future, the present, and the alternative, universe of the Wolfman. So I'm really excited about it. Something specifically kind of cool we're going to do today is actually taking a look at the unused script of The Wolfman from Dark Universe by writer, Aaron, help me out, one of you. What is this fucking guy's last name?
Is that Guzikowski?
By Aaron Guzikowski. All right, well, joining us again for this entire miniseries, we have got the friends from the Monsters That Made Us podcast. So that's Dan Colón and Mike Manzi, aka the Invisible Dan and Monster Mike. These guys are back and they are ready to celebrate all things Wolfman. Just in case people haven't been listening, Dan, can you just reintroduce yourself to the Development Hell audience?
Yes, I am the Invisible Dan Colón. I am one half of the Monsters That Made Us And I just want to say, Josh, congrats on this opportunity to talk about Hitchcock. I want to come all the way up there to Toronto to experience that with you. But yeah, that's super exciting.
I'm thrilled. Guys, that was the most information he's ever given about himself. That was crazy. Mike, who are you? What's going on?
I am also one half of the Monsters That Made Us, co-founder of the Cage Club Podcast Network, and tonight, an American Werewolf in New Jersey.
That's scary. Well, yeah, it's getting frightening in here, and I'm excited to talk about Wolfman because this is something, once again, I knew very little about till now. I think I want to start again, and I never really know why I do this, and neither do you. I want to talk about this publicity photo one more time.
It's amazing, Josh. That's why we talk.
I know. There's never anything new to add. It's a fucking photoshopped picture, but you know what, Mike?
Yeah.
You know, this is really special to you. Can you lead us? Like, what do we see here? What's going on?
Also, just quickly, I'm looking for someone online, maybe Etsy, that can do like an oil painting representation of this. For whatever. Okay, so I guess I'll go from one side to the other now. We have Russell Crowe standing in his three-piece suit. Was going to be Jekyll and Hyde. Sitting. And what I notice now is a green chair, maybe a hint to the color of the creature, perhaps. Javier Bardem sitting with a white shirt, no tie. Dead center-ish, we have Tom Cruise, the ringleader, apparently, jeans and a black T-shirt, short sleeves, so you could see his muscles and the veins. Staring with that kind of intensity that neither, like, seems threatening or tough. Like, there's no, I don't know. There's something so neutral about that look. And then Johnny Depp next to him, completely dead in the eyes, already, like, you know, has his monster face on. Again, with the same suit, seemingly as Russell. I almost called him Muscles Crowe. Russell Crowe.
Muscles Crowe.
Pretty good. I like it. And then last but not least, of course, the only lady represented here, Sophia Boutella, right? Standing in a lovely black gown.
And I feel like those, I want to talk about the pants because they're like a boot cut, you know, like they're a wide leg.
Yes, they are. I thought that was a gown. That's right. I failed to look lower.
Yes, high pants. High fashion pants. Muscle Crowe. I feel like that would be a good drag king name.
It would be a good drag name.
It would be a good drag. So, and if you're out there, drag kings, I know you are. That's for you. You can have it. What a beautiful photo. I love it. The idea of having it as an oil painting. That's genius. So I want that. I'd like chip into that.
I want that oil painting as like the photo on my credit card. You know what I mean? Like
in my license plate. I was gonna say, driver's license. There's so much to be done with something like that. I almost feel like that's what AI is for, but no, artists, we got to support them.
I'd rather pay a human, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, can you tattoo this photo? Give me a couple years. Give me a recording.
Full back. Like I'm on my whole.
Yeah, total back.
Yeah.
As of this recording, I just did my first tattoo on myself as an apprentice. And I guess tomorrow I'm doing the Dark Universe portrait on someone's back. Okay.
Well,
love it.
Prepared.
Bold, but I like it.
So Dark Universe, what is it? I think everyone knows, but to refresh, yeah, they wanted to turn the Universal monsters, for some inexplicable reason, into an MCU-style cinematic universe. I think they just really wanted their own. They didn't have the DC comic people. They didn't have Marvel, but they did have monsters from the 30s. And so they thought, okay, that makes sense. And so they went for it. And unfortunately, it didn't land with its first iteration, which was 2017's The Mummy, starring Tom Cruise. These guys love it. I oscillate. I don't know, but it's big, it's bloated, and it tonally, I guess, didn't really land with fans. It flopped, and so did the rest of the universe. It imploded on itself like a black hole, dead star. But wait, it's still around. There's an amusement park. Yeah. So they're going to be using it as its own section in the upcoming Universal Epic Universe Amusement Park. And it gives me asthma to say that.
I need
Yeah.
Tums to hear it.
Yeah. Okay, so before I move on into the Wolfman OG, this is the last time we're ever like summarizing Dark Universe. Is there anything I left out?
Well, I
don't-
want to address one thing. The last episode, you called us Mummy apologists.
Yeah.
And now we love the Mummy. I feel like we should be clear that we acknowledge this film's many failings. I think the one thing I will stay true to, I will maintain this to my dying day, is that it was not so bad that it deserved canceling the entire Dark Universe. I would have loved to have seen where this was going to go. There's some really impressive stuff in it, but like, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about the Mummy. It's not a complete disaster. I think it's just, it's flawed.
I almost think for the fact that it's not that bad makes it worse. Like,
I get that.
Like, yeah, it's okay, but there's nothing worse than okay. Be good or be bad. No, that's nonsense. But still, I stand by it.
Okay.
I was gonna say apologist again, and I thought, no, good writers gotta switch up the terms.
I'm going to stay in character and not even defend myself. So.
And last week I pretended to like it because I wanted to be in the boys' club, but now I'm true to myself.
Okay.
Josh, for what it's worth, you're still in the boys' club.
Oh, that's true. You know what? Even when you're gay, you have male privilege. I've learned that.
Love it.
True. No, it's true. Let's talk about the Wolfman. OG. Yeah, 1941, which I guess is actually a little bit down the line compared to some of the other babes we've been talking about. We got the Wolfman. This was a Universal horror gothic film by Kurt Siodmak. Siodmak by Kurt Siodmak and directed by George Wagner. It stars Lon Chaney Jr. as Mr. Wolfman. But we all Mr. Wolfman
Talbot, but yes.
yeah. And we got Claude Rains. We've got Bela Lugosi. We have other people also. So it was a landmark in Hollywood horror history. And I think it kind of kickstarted what we know today as the werewolf sort of modern subgenre. The second Universal Picture werewolf, the second Universal Picture werewolf film following Werewolves of London from 1935. You guys seen Werewolves of London 1935?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. I only knew the song.
It's actually pretty cool. It's sort of like a beta version of what would come later. You know, there's a lot of wolf lore in it that came across. There's a lot of great shots. Nazca Rocks, right, Dan? I believe.
Vasquez Rocks, yeah.
Vasquez Rocks. Please make me sound right. Well, Vasquez Rocks, well, they're like famous in a lot of television and science fiction, but they're like in that movie as well. But that's a pretty fun one. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like Werewolf of London because Kurt Siodmak kind of created with the Wolfman a lot of what we think of as like werewolf lore and mythology, but at the time he was just kind of making it up. There weren't really like solid werewolf rules the way there are vampire rules. So, you know, he kind of set the standard for that. So this is before that, and I think it does some really interesting things with lycanthropy. There's like a whole plant angle that I've never seen before or since.
What?
Kind of harnessing light and energy.
There's a lot of sci-fi in it, actually, if I recall. Like the scientist has like a self-driving car and like an electric house that does all stuff for him, and yeah, he's like a real man ahead of his time.
But the
Oh, it's not.
No, nothing. It's more like Tony Stark, perhaps.
Oh,
yeah, that joke.
And the transformation sequence is still really impressive. It's like a series of wipes that instead of dissolves the way they do in the Wolfman, it's a series of wipes as Henry Hull kind of walks across the frame past columns. They sort of like use those columns to hide the edits, and a little bit he changes. And they didn't go full like fur face either. They wanted to keep his face kind of visible through that makeup. So you can see how the makeup evolution, changed from this to the Wolfman and so on and so forth.
That's what they did in the movie Old when they got older because they didn't have so much money. So
Oh yeah.
they did swipes on the beach. It's not a good movie. Okay, interesting. I should check that one out. Now we've got the Wolfman, and what is it about? So we've got Larry Talbot, the Wolfman, is portrayed as one of the undead in later films, alongside some of our other classics like Frankenstein's Frankenstein's Creature and Dracula. Something I think I learned today: he didn't have any standalone sequels, Mr. Wolfman. He was only in other people's sort of parties.
Right.
Sad. That feels unfair to me. No?
Yeah, that's
What's
I haven't thought about that for a long time, actually. But he just became a great connective tissue. I think he kind of was, of the creatures that started hanging out together, he was the last for a while. The Gill Man didn't come along for a few years now, maybe even like 10 years or so. So yeah, I thought it was kind of a good idea that like the newest-ish guy was the one that kind of brought everybody together and weaved in and out of their movies a little bit. And he never ever gets like short shrift. Like,
okay,
right.
He's always like top, if not sharing that spotlight. And it's like he's pivotal. He's pivotal in those movies.
I would even argue that he is kind of like the main character in, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman and some of the other Monster Rally films, because, his quest never really deviates, right? After this first movie, he is just constantly either looking for a cure, or once he's accepted there is no cure, he's just looking for death. And so he seeks out the, Frankenstein and Dracula, for help to find this solution to his problem. And so he's always kind of the hero in these movies, and it allows opportunities for these other characters to, cross his path. So I think in a weird way, Larry Talbot was a great central character to bring everybody together. And also, by 1941, the Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula were all in like second run in double features. And so it was a way to make those characters a little fresh as well. So yeah, I kind of really love how it worked out for him, even though Wolfman's still very much in the front of everyone's mind.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit how like that allows that character to have an extremely interesting arc, and it travels across all this time, and it's they got to play with him in more than just one movie with just his own set of cast and crew. It's like you get to spread out, which is fun.
I mean, you're being nice, but I still think he deserved another movie just to himself. Only monster that was the same dude every time, right? It was the only guy that was never recasted. It's giving Robert Englund vibes. So good for him. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
It was beautiful. It kind of gave me a little bit of the feeling that I got when I saw Dracula for the first time, which was surprised by this old movie making me feel something somehow, when I just assumed, I'd be bored.
Yeah,
it was gorgeous.
There's something about it in the same way as Dracula and Frankenstein, where, you see Lugosi, you see Karloff, you see Lon Chaney Jr. in these roles, and you understand immediately why they became icons of the genre.
Yeah.
They are career-defining performances. And so, yeah, and I love that Lon Chaney, again, he didn't get sequels, but then he went on to play the Frankenstein monster. He played the Mummy. He played Dracula. And no, he didn't play Igor. Did he play
in number 3?
Yeah. Son of
Did I learn this last week?
Maybe I'm talking about Lon Chaney Jr.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Bella.
No, I'm talking about how Lon Chaney Jr. went on to like not just play the Wolfman and make that an iconic role, but like he played these other characters too. So
he should have played a hunchback. That would have been great.
Would have loved it.
Yeah.
Everybody's scary about the Mummy, guys. What?
Well,
you love the Mummy.
I think part of it is maybe the Mummy wasn't able to somewhat establish its own universe hard enough. Like it got out of the Middle East quick. Like the second or third movie, like the second movie, we're in America. And like, then we're in the South, and then, and it kind of didn't have time to marinate in its, and it's where it's supposed to. Whereas like the Wolfman, you know, like first of all, it's played completely straight, so all the beats land, and the acting is amazing, and it starts to feel almost like how nowadays, we see the same actors portraying different characters, but they're playing in different movies together. And it's like we've seen some of these guys before in the MonsterVerse. Here they are playing new characters. Like I totally believe everything they're saying, even though it's like fantastic and ridiculous. And then like visually, we get some of like my favorite stuff with the fog and the forests and the graveyards and all that. So like it's just kind of dripping with what has kind of been known as like the universal aesthetic.
Yeah, the fucking visuals in this are gripping such a good word. It's like it's when you think of nostalgia, spooky, but like in an actually scary way, not in like a McDonald's way. That's what I'm getting here. It kind of gave me that feeling Dracula gave me, really, on the gothic production design front.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the Mummy, which was daytime and just talking. No, I don't know why I'm so mad at the Mummy. I'm sorry. Okay, before we move on, I just like want to have some final thoughts about, where the Wolfman original, the first movie, kind of stands in your rankings of the overall, Universal monster canon.
I think I mentioned it on a previous episode, but if I didn't, I know the Wolfman was the longest recording session Mike and I have had, I think, to date.
Really?
Did anything else come close? Something came close recently, Mike. Was it the new?
Possibly the Brendan Fraser?
Oh yeah,
first episode of that.
Oh yeah,
we went like over 3 hours talking the Wolfman, and somehow managed to cut that down. But we were just so much in love with that movie, we couldn't stop finding things to talk about.
Yeah, it was like a scene by scene thing. I remember when like Bogdanovich used to talk about going through Citizen Kane shot by shot. That's kind of like what Dan and I did, like with the Wolfman episode for some reason.
So,
we did
number one for either of you.
Oh, he's as the character at the moment, he's been my favorite monster like for a while now. I started off the show, I think Invisible Man was in the lead, and now it's been Larry for a while, the Wolfman. So as the monster in the MonsterVerse, he's my favorite. I'm like,
why? Like, why do you think, you like on a personal reason, why do you think that
it it's going to sound very cliche and corny, but like the duality of man, it's like that whole, that doesn't sound like Full Metal Jacket, but like the Jungian thing, it's like the fact that you can't control aspects of your own life and personality manifested as like, an entire being, and sometimes as people were flying off the rails, and it's nice to see a representation that's like, yeah, we get it. Like everyone kind of goes through this, and here's a character that represents that for us. And also, maybe possibly some of my Viking Norwegian ancestors might have used to dress up like wolves and run around and raid people and be mistaken for wolfmen. So like I love that aspect of it recently.
So family.
I'm a wolfman.
Yeah, so we have a wolfman.
Yeah, I mean,
wolfman.
As a comic book fan, I know Mike is as well. Like I'm a big fan of the Incredible Hulk, and man, there's a lot of parallels there. For the same reasons Mike mentioned. It's that duality of man, that wild side you can't control. And what do you do with something like that? It is both a curse and a gift in many ways. Although for Larry Talbot, I don't think he would view being a werewolf as any kind of gift. But I've definitely seen movies where having that wild side has come in play as a benefit. So for me, Wolfman is number 5 to answer your original question, Josh. 5 overall. I mean, it's Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Invisible Man, Abbott and Costello, Meet Frankenstein, and then the Wolfman. It's right up there.
So it's for movies, it's number 5. But what about as like character or like Mike was ranking it?
Yeah, I think overall, I as much as I love the concept, I think that Larry Talbot constantly just wanting to die, and he's kind of sad in a lot of his movies. I'm just like,
Brings you down.
okay,
Emo boy. He's the first.
Yeah,
He's the
he's a
first.
bad boy.
Yeah, first the torch. Like that's part of the reason I was gonna end on of why I liked him so much is because of the Larry side of it. At first, it kind of annoyed me, but then I was like, that is so goth. Like that is darkness. That is like Lydia Dietz. You know, I can't believe still in Beetlejuice 1 we watched her write a suicide note. Like that.
Fuck yeah, Beetlejuice 1. Also, Beetlejuice 2, not horrible.
Cool.
Not crazy.
Can't wait to watch it.
I just thought it was going to be so bad, and then it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I mean, Tim Burton hasn't made a good movie since Big Fish.
It's been a while.
Or I was born. So, you know, just kidding. Cool. Wolfman. Out of all the sequels or, you know, other movies that he's in, which ones should I pursue?
Let's see. Well, definitely the Meet Abbott and Costello. I think we've said that in the past.
yeah,
That's right.
I mean, that movie is going to be my number one pick for you, Josh, like all across the board. I think that
Cool.
seen that yet, absolutely see it because like
I will.
everyone's in it. And there's some really great comedy with Lon Chaney Jr.
You know what's kind of wild about the Abbott and Costello series is that they like reversed Avengered it. It's like the first one is like crazy. It's the Avengers, got everyone in it. Like the movies have already come out, and like all of a sudden it's Abbott and Costello in there, and then the rest of them just like kind of peter out and like fizzle off, and it's like you know, oh well, maybe they did this in reverse.
That's weird.
It is a little.
Maybe they like didn't get everyone's paycheck, or like maybe like not everyone continued to sign on.
Stuff like that happened. Yeah, definitely. There's a lack of continuity in some of it.
I love messy franchises. It's truly my favorite thing, and it's something I didn't know I could connect to these movies until I started talking to you guys. I think it was with how you're telling me about how there's so many fucking mummy movies, and I was like, I just love a shitty 8, like a Jason 7, like a fucking
like a Puppet Master 6, like a.
Was that a Nazi one? Because I can't support that.
Well, I think they're all
Nazi ones.
No,
but they kill Nazis, don't they?
Yeah.
Puppets?
It's like Nazi exploitation, though. It's like there's a lot of not fair. What do I know? I haven't seen any of them.
Well, then don't watch The Invisible Man's Revenge because he's a Nazi hunter.
yeah, you know, it's a fine line.
He's like He's literally Inglourious Bastards.
Oh no,
Invisible
Agent. Yeah,
I did love that. I guess out of all of the random shit you've been telling me about, which is the one God I want to watch the most? I don't want it to be Invisible Woman because you said it's but that fashion sequence I gotta get on.
No, honestly, Josh, I think if you are able to separate it from the Invisible Man legacy, watch it by itself, I think you would actually really love these.
I would do. I was
Margaret Hamilton
poster. It's so funny looking.
Shemp Howard,
and
one of the craziest stunts we've ever
Wicked
seen.
Witch of the West.
Oh, that's right. I was like, I know the name. That was in an outline recently. I don't know anymore.
Just watch them all, you know, over time. You got time.
I literally as I get older, the more interested I have become. Also, now I've officially seen, I think, all of the like A-tier baddies in their first movies, which is pretty
firsts of everyone. That's nice.
Yeah. And I think Dracula's still my girl, although Creature Black Lagoon was quite an experience as well.
Yeah, that I think Dan and I also. I mean, I was overwhelmed by the impact of that watching it for the show. Yeah. Definitely like caught off guard by just like dazzled by it.
Yeah, me too.
More than any other movie we talked about in our first like run of episodes, Creature was the one where I just couldn't stop thinking about how important that movie is, and how if it wasn't for Creature from the Black Lagoon, we wouldn't have Jaws, we wouldn't have, you know, all these other great movies that I love. So like
the Jaws stuff,
yeah. So like Creature is just so important to me for that reason. But yeah, definitely,
I love it too. Those underwater sequences are just jaw dropping.
Yep.
And I don't know if the culture cares anymore, but I love Shape of Water like literally so much. And now they're like just companion movies for me. And so much as a pair. Moving on into wolf guys in pop culture. You know, they're out there, and we had to settle on one for today, and that was Teen Wolf from 1985. But also, it's an enduring franchise, so there's something to talk about there. But there are other wolf guys that deserve honorable mentions. we were thinking about covering Jack Nicholson's Wolf. I think he deserves a mention. American Werewolf in London, that shit is crazy. So I don't know if that really fits the Wolfman category though. Like, are werewolves well, the Wolfman like archetype and werewolves, is it the same thing?
Oh, I
So
see what you're saying.
You opened a can of worms that I think we closed a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
But it's been a running thing for a while.
Okay.
And I was pretty. I had two sides of that coin for a while, where I was like, no, a Wolfman is bipedal. He wears clothes. He could drive a car. He runs around. He just looks like a wolf man.
Yeah.
Werewolf turns into a wolf. He's oversized. He runs
like a monster.
He completely loses his mind, and that is a difference. Then by the end of our first run, early beginning of the second, I think I was just like, you know what, Dan? It just does not matter to me anymore. Are not keeping track of this in the real world. Why am I imagining this difference in my head?
I think it matters.
Thank you, Josh.
I feel like it matters. Dan, where did you land on all this?
I kind of agree with Mike. I do think that there's a difference that there's wolfmen and then werewolves. But weirdly, like it's not something I could ever really defend, right? It's just sort of a thing that makes sense in my mind. The rules are the same across the board, generally speaking. So like, really, what difference does it make? But in my mind, I separate wolfmen and werewolves.
Yeah.
And I would say that American Werewolf in London, probably my favorite werewolf movie. Whereas, I would probably look at the Wolfman as probably my favorite werewolf movie.
Yeah, I think
Wolfman movie rather.
I feel like the Underworld series, good or bad, whatever's going on with that. Otherwise, the actual portrayal of the wolf creatures in that
Wolfman.
Yeah, but it's like they're men. They're like there's women as well and all this, but like they stand on two legs and do things, but then they also drop to the ground and gallop. Right? They're both like they sort of seem to be able to find a middle ground in that movie that I don't know that I've seen many other places.
And it's sexy.
It's one of the previous builds of the Matrix is one of my themes. They had ghosts and werewolves and vampires running around. And the human mind couldn't grasp that, so they had to.
That must have been like consciously post-Matrix with all that leather, rubber stuff. Yeah. I remember that like first. I remember like that was right when I started like being on the internet as like a kid, and I remember like that had a big impact. Like that poster, that like first images of her, like it felt very aesthetic, and I think I stand by them. I think I've only seen the first two though. So,
when I was online, it was the movie Hackers with Angelina Jolie.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen it, but that's beautiful. Yeah, you're just thinking like, what was the first thing I was like being a weird fan about and like keeping updating about online? It's early 2000s, definitely for me. You guys remember upcominghorrormovies.com? It still exists.
No.
Good.
That was my first message boards. That was like, yeah.
Oh wow, message boards.
They're still there. They're still not the message boards, of course. Just the website. Okay, any other wolf guys that we need to like just give like a hello handshake?
I love the movie Bad Moon. I don't know if many people are aware of it.
I can see the poster in my brain. Very iconic. The font is good.
I think it is one of the Mariel Hemingway's in it. So that is Hemingway's granddaughter. Yeah, she's been in a bunch of horror movies. She was in like Lipstick and Superman 4, a couple horror movies.
I was going to say the Superman 4. It kind of looks like a Buffy font, honestly, the Bad Moon font or something.
Yeah, it's got some wild wolf effects. They're insane. It's like just gore to the wall at times. I really love that. So that's a good one. Howling always blows my mind.
Howling is so.
I was just about to say, if you want to talk like crazy franchises, move. The first one is pretty solid. I mean, Joe Dante, he's always pretty reliable. And then those sequels, they just go off the rail.
My sister's a dumb bitch werewolf. That's what the second one's called. Is it like a porno theater in the first one that's so scary where she like goes to like a back room, I think in like a porn theater, and like the monster's there, and she like, it's crazy, that first movie. Sorry.
I just remember it being like a cult thing, and cults are scary enough to make movies about, and like this one were like werewolves. So I was like,
oh, I do want to mention one more. I just remembered another one. Because we haven't gotten to Hammer yet. That Hammer is like something we still need to get to at some point. But Curse of the Werewolf is incredible. It takes a minimalist approach, but I really, really enjoy that one. Once the werewolf transformation happens, it's really impressive. Oliver Reed plays the Wolfman in that.
Excuse me. They're not guys, but I think my favorite werewolf movie of all time is Ginger Snaps. Maybe even Ginger Snaps 2 Unleashed. If you haven't seen it, super duper recommend it. It's actually very good.
Cool. I've seen the first one. Enjoyed it.
That's Canadian culture, guys, right there. Truly. And it's available to stream on Gallery. Wow.
Sweet.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Teen Wolf, because I don't know, it's just my favorite movie of all time. Did you guys have a chance to take a peek?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen this many times. So yeah.
Okay, who wants to start us off with some impressions?
Oh, Mike's your impression guy. I'm
Oh, you want me to do an impression of a?
I mean, I didn't mean like
Fear.
SNL audition. It just like kind of feels like watching Back to the Future, like, you know, like the 80s, like nostalgia, like wholesome.
Well, the same year.
Shut the fuck.
Back to the Future came out the month before in 1985.
What a star.
Like, this is first and foremost a high school film about a kid going through puberty.
Oh,
all right. Like,
only.
It sticks to it. And like, he turned into a werewolf and people are like,
okay,
all right, anyway. So just like, Scott's good at basketball all of a sudden. Scott like really practiced a lot. Like, look at Scott go, like when his hormones get pumping. And it's just like, to the audience, we're like, it's a fucking werewolf, people. What aren't you
look at him?
Only his best
Trying to get
Styles.
his mom. No, he's not. That's the other movie.
Styles is like, I see what's going on. I'm gonna make a mint off of my best friend.
Yeah, Styles is like the friend you want to have if you're going through a werewolf transformation, because he's like, hey man, it's fine. You know, like, it's like when you see a child get hurt or fall or whatever, you don't freak out, because then they freak out. He just pretend nothing happened, and he's just like, yeah, what's up? You're my werewolf friend now.
You know who would be the worst friend for it? Have you seen Fright Night?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know that dweeby friend?
The name?
That guy.
Buddy.
You don't want him around. He did gay porn afterwards.
True notes. He did. Yes, he did.
So weird.
You have to see.
But if everyone in cinema, him, okay.
Well, also, was it Eddie Munster also? No, I might be. I'll send some information. Never mind.
Oh, Butch Patrick? I don't think so.
No. I'm
I
thinking.
mean, the name would have lent itself to it, but that's interesting.
Not trying to besmirch.
It's a fucking beautiful movie, Mr. Teen Wolf. Never seen Teen Wolf 2. I think we talked about how much I like a sequel that's T.O.O. We don't get enough.
It's wild they never did Teen Wolf 3 with a girl. Like, what? It was right there. Like, Teen Wolf 2 should have been a girl. I mean, it is wild that we basically got the same movie twice.
No, because the whole metaphor of, like, werewolves is boy puberty, not girl puberty. They can't have it.
Says society. But, like, honestly, like, Teen Wolf 2 is the exact same movie in college. And there's no reason for him to be going through puberty in college. But it's not him. It's his cousin. It's Jason Bateman. They didn't even say, like, we recast Scott. Or, like, they should have just recast him with been the same character. It would have made 100 times more sense, because every other character in this movie is also in that movie. Like, his high school coach shows up as his college coach. Styles shows up recast as his roommate. Chubbs shows up as his roommate. Same actor. Instead of basketball, it's boxing? ? Like, what is that? Just keep it basketball. He was amazing at basketball.
Should have been karate.
Karate was hot in the 80s.
It was.
It really was.
Karate Wolf.
Yeah, I don't care. Jason Bateman's a cutie, and not as much as a cutie as old school Mr. Michael. Give me the name.
J. Fox?
Yeah. I was like, oh, but you know what? I see why I made that mistake.
If you think he was a cutie in this, you have to see the Canadian classic class of 1984.
I haven't seen it. I'm looking it up right now.
It is terrifying.
Why?
McDowell's in it. Speaking of Fright Night. Because it's basically about, like, the worst high school on earth, and it's just this sort of semi-futuristic, like, apocalyptic high school movie.
It's like the Warriors vibes. What is this?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have to watch that. Yeah, big crush on Michael J. Fox. What a cute patoot.
And what I love about this movie is that like he was a heartthrob. He was like in Tiger Beat and all that shit like at this time, and they try to sell him as this like really lame, average Joe kind of character. And I'm like, dude, you're Michael J. Fox.
I know.
The only time in human history where a man who's like 5'6" is super sexy to all the women. You know, like it's never happened. It's until time.
It's like glasses ponytail, because then he becomes hot cool, but in the really bad, honestly, creature design for this one.
It's kind of a weird reverse thing where he gets uglier and more popular. Like of the times, it's just a reversal kind of weird thing. It's like he turned into a monster and they like him now. Like I thought that would be like maybe if he was the cool kid, turned into the monster and became a loser, like.
No, it's kind of punk in a weird way, where like he's cool because he's a fucking monster, you know? Like I don't know.
Well, it's definitely new wave, like the
for sure.
look, like all that
the
with sunglasses, surfing on the roof of the car.
That's my favorite scene. It's very like Hughes-esque.
Yes.
Yeah, what a stupid fucking movie. I love it.
I love the werewolf dance. Anytime there's a spontaneous dance that everyone learns immediately in a movie is fantastic.
Oh, like Scream 2. No, that's not a dance, but remember when they say, oh, yeah. Okay, is this where the trope of, like, you can do it even when you're not, like, powerful? Like,
you don't have to be special.
Yeah, you don't have to be special to do it. You're bad, everyone. You don't... I'm not explaining it properly, but...
No, but, like, it's okay not to, like, make the final shot. Like, the pressure's off. Don't put the world on your shoulders.
And then you make it, or whatever.
Yeah, and then he made it anyway. He became a hero anyway. And then,
yeah.
like, what do you do? You look back on the last, like, 3 months as a werewolf being like, I was a douche. Like, be the wolf.
He was. Did you know there was a Teen Wolf movie as recently as 2022?
No.
Didn't know it was that recent. I knew there was a MTV show and a cartoon.
Oh my God, a cartoon. Yes. I didn't want to brush over that. What fucking year did that happen?
That had to be right after the movie, like real soon after the movie.
Everything got a cartoon in the 80s. Like weird, like fucking Reanimator. Give that a cartoon. Why not?
Wait, Teen Wolf, like the most recent movie, that was a movie version of the TV show.
I know. That was my twist. I was clickbaiting you.
Oh, do you wanna just edit this out and you can just go, I'll pretend I'm surprised.
No, this is real. This is what people say. That's why we like TikTok now. I've never seen any Teen Wolf, which is interesting because I love that shit. But
they took a very different turn for it. Like, it's super dark. I watched the first episode when it aired on MTV because I was, I was interested. I like Teen Wolf. I'm like, what are they doing to Teen Wolf? I saw what they did to Archie. They turned Archie into like a super hard crime mystery.
The first season was camp and wonderful. So
there's absolutely nothing wrong with any of Riverdale.
Okay, I'll take. Then
I agreed it's commercial.
But Teen Wolf was like, all right, here come the wolf hunters breaking into high school at night, and all the kids are super sexy, and like the makeout party has to stop because I'm a werewolf, and it's like, I think this is below my demographic, right?
I think it was too, and it also was like MTV 2016. They did one thing right, and I'm betting you haven't seen Scream the TV show, but not bad.
Saw one episode,
and you're like, that's enough for me. That's my demographic. Yeah, I didn't watch it. It's sexy, 2016 of it all, and it never died. Like, it lasted for 6 seasons, then it went off the air, then it got a movie spinoff, and then it got a fucking TV show spinoff starring Sarah Michelle Gellar called Wolfpack.
What?
Killed after 1 season.
Wow.
Never even heard of that.
Yeah, she's like a fire chief. I don't know. I had to do an interview for it with some kid. I hate when they make you talk to the kids. Like, humiliating.
Hey, we haven't talked to anybody, so I would take.
Okay,
I'll take a kid.
It's funny because one of my first ones where I was like, I'll take anybody. It was a kid from Halloween Kills. He do you remember Halloween Kills at all?
Oh yeah.
You remember they do the flashback in the opening sequence, and he was like some kid from the actual films. It was like a legacy character, but he had 3 lines. Anyway, fuck that.
We were trying to get some people for Abigail when that came out. I would have been thrilled to talk to Alicia Weir. Like I would have been over the moon.
Yeah, but that's a talented kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, because they have one-word answers. Also, why are you making kids do weird interviews with like fucking bloggers? Like, it doesn't seem like a good idea. Okay, wait. Did we? Yeah, are we wrapping up on Teen Wolf? Any final thoughts about this iconic franchise?
Yeah, one thing I didn't know about this. I mean, I had seen Teen Wolf before. I rewatched it, before we recorded tonight. I didn't realize Jeff Loeb was a screenwriter on this movie.
Oh,
now,
really?
I know Jeff Loeb as a comic book writer. He's written some of the best Batman comics I've ever read. He wrote Daredevil Yellow, which is incredible, and Hulk Gray. So for the comic book listeners, like Jeff Loeb is phenomenal.
He made other like movies and TV.
I didn't realize that, but he's gone on to become like a producer for future. Like the Daredevil TV series that's part of the MCU
cool.
and other things. Yeah, so he's gone on to work in mixed media. But yeah, he's to me a comic book writer, so it's cool to see his name on this movie.
So is that on the new Teen Wolf or the original Teen?
The original 1985 Michael J. Fox Teen Wolf.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right.
Gives a bit of a comic book vibe.
For sure.
It does a little bit, yeah.
Yes, and I'm shocked there wasn't like at least 24 issues for Marvel at some point.
Oh, it should have been, and it could still be.
True.
Because we're getting into like the actual content of the episode now. Something I love about werewolf tropes is when they make the transformation really horrific, like when it hurts, and like that's like part of the narrative is that they're like they have to like cope with the trauma of like once a month, literally like bone breakage, nightmare. Like you didn't watch Vampire Diaries, but that was a part of that was like surprisingly poignant. I like that. That's like so fucked up. It's like a form of what's it called when you're in constant pain, like persistent pain.
Oh, chronic pain?
Chronic pain. It's a bizarre take on chronic pain and fear of what's coming.
It's got that weird. The creature transformation has a weird like body horror Cronenberg kind of vibe to it. And for my money, the one of the best transformations, one of the most horrifying versions of it, one of the coolest concepts, was kind of wasted in Van Helsing. Like we needed a main character who transformed like they did in the movie Van Helsing. He literally like tore his human skin off under him.
Cool.
Turned back, he would tear that skin.
Oh, it's like
human would be under him,
like a snake kind of.
Yeah, like shredding.
That's fucked. That's fucked up. See, yeah, the body horror element when they can use that. That's one of the scariest parts of werewolf for me.
Yeah, I realized that would have been really out of place in Teen Wolf, just tonally. But I will say I did kind of miss that element because this is like one of the few examples of a werewolf that can just change at will, right? Like he can just turn it on whenever he wants. And that doesn't happen too often. We're going to talk about it, but it shows up again in the unused script we're going to talk about, like this ability to just turn on the werewolf ability whenever you want. And I just, to me, lycanthropy and, just werewolves, it is part and parcel with that experience of not being able to control the change. You are a slave to this curse. You organize your life around the cycles of the moon. So I did miss that element, although I do acknowledge that it would have been really totally inappropriate for Teen Wolf.
It's like what Mike was saying about how like we all go through that, but there's something like very honest about Wolfman to like just have that up in front of us. Where like, yeah, like sometimes like I like do things that are awful and like I can't control. And that's like the human condition. We just don't tell anybody about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's also like a physiology behind a lot of this that I think why people believe a lot of it is because, the Wolfman's affected by the moon. Lunacy is named after Luna, which is the moon, and people being affected by the tide and the pull of the moon and the effect of it just being there in general. I mean, in the sky, there's a big thing at night. So like there is sort of like a human basis for that fear in general. So it's primal in a lot of ways.
That's correct. That's the perfect word for it.
but I've maintained that, you know, like when people ask me, would you rather be a vampire or werewolf? I'm always like werewolf 100%. You know, I'm like, how many women know what it's like to deal with chronic pain and have body changes once a month?
Yeah, and we don't want that.
But I'm saying it's manageable. You can have a life around that. I don't want to.
Don't be a hero.
I don't want vampire problems. You know.
I absolutely would. If you were like human or vampire, I'd be like, vampire baby, let's go.
Oh, we are destined to feud forever, Josh.
100%. This is the rise of the podcast. So this is a underworld joke. I want to talk about the Wolfman 2010. Would it be cool if I like try to give a brief seminar on this?
Yes.
Back in 2010, we got another Wolfman movie. This time directed by Joe Johnston. Big Hollywood action, like big budget guy. It starred Benicio del Toro, and we had Anthony Hopkins. We had love interest Emily Blunt, and then of course, why not Hugo Weaving in there? We've got a story about an American actor returning to his home in England after the murder of his brother, and soon finds himself cursed by a werewolf bite. Yeah, there was some production squabbles about who was going to get the role of director, but we got Joe Johnston in the end. I think it's kind of like a bit of a cursed production. We had reshoots. I think the budget was sort of always going over. There was post-production issues. I think it all had something to do with the moon. Even Mr. Danny Elfman was replaced and then brought back on, who I don't know why, to be honest with you. If you guys do, let me know. But that's a weird one right there. And he's had some weird troubles recently too. Danny Elfman, very interesting conversation, maybe for another day. It didn't necessarily do very well critically or commercially. I think we got mixed reviews, although people definitely praised the makeup, and there's a reason for that. We had Mr. Rick Baker behind all of that. We'll get to it in a sec. Did they fucking won an Oscar for this? I didn't know that. Did you? That's crazy. Yep. Wow, this horror movie in 2010 won an Oscar. This fucking poorly reviewed horror movie from 2010 that didn't do very well won a fucking Oscar for best makeup for Rick Baker, which I love, and someone else named Dave Elsey. Good for him.
But so did Norbit. So it happens.
Norbit, was that a fat suit movie?
Eddie Murphy.
They love fat suit movies at the Oscars. They love them.
I like the clumps,
Oh my God, do you remember when he won for Brendan Fraser fat suit, and they were giving their fucking talk, and it was just a giant picture of Brendan Fraser fat suit naked.
Oh, holy shit!
Oh my God!
Hang on a second. It didn't win the Oscar, but it was also Rick Baker.
Okay, who did Norbit?
So wait, what did he win for?
He won for the Wolfman, but I'm saying Norbit was nominated for,
and
it was also Rick Baker who was responsible for that makeup. So
if you need nasty bullshit, call
Rick Baker.
Yeah, he said something funny that I got a quote from him on Mr. Rick Baker, and he just noted that it wasn't that hard to turn Toro into a Wolfman because he was already a hairy, scruffy guy, so it kind of just looked like him, which I thought that's rude, but maybe he didn't care. The Los Angeles Times, who are sassy, called it one of the costliest box office flops ever. It's always so funny to me when a movie makes $150 million, but yet somehow loses just as much. You're like, what? Give me the whole budget. Don't just give me the fucking craft budget. I want to know. So if it costs $400 million to make this with marketing, tell me.
Right? Well, don't they say nowadays with these blockbusters, marketing is twice, you take the budget and then you double that for marketing or whatever.
Yep. Well, Google AdWords, how complicated could it be? I don't know. So this is a movie that we're going to talk about right now. Why don't you start us off?
You want me to? Who is that? Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Look, I like this movie. I could understand if it's not everyone's cup of tea. I think the issue might be that it's it's a remake. It's a remake of the original for the most part, mostly. It tries to be, I think. Look, it's slow. I'll give it that. It's a little slow. All right. I'm trying to be nice. I see Josh falling asleep.
No, I'm feeling the waves.
But I love the atmosphere of this movie. I love Benny DT as the Wolfman. I love Hopkins anytime he gets the chance to unhinge himself, like his Van Helsing. Okay, I feel like he's still stuck in Van Helsing in this movie, where he's just, I'm playing a raving madman, and I don't care why. I'm just a raving madman, little bad. That's
Good. You should know The Simpsons. They should.
I would love to be.
Well, yeah, he is giving his fucking Van Helsing in this. That's so true.
But yeah, I think it's just they don't really. I think one thing Dan and I talked about is like they don't really try to reinvent the wheel here ever at all. The one main attraction star sort of set piece is the transformation in the hospital while he's on display in front of everybody. But yeah, I just think we were at a place probably in the podcast when this came along that was maybe just like the right time for us to be watching it, because a lot of things just seem to click for me to compare this to like the original old Universal stuff. I mean, definitely in 2010, I don't know if audiences wanted this kind of horror, whereas like basically a period piece. Like,
No, they don't want to know.
this is like Wolfman meets like Lady Diana Dynasty of Demure or whatever, one of those Jane Austen books.
Yeah.
Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies kind of.
Downton Werewolf.
Yeah, Werewolf Abbey.
Werewolf Abbey. That's what.
There we go. We found it.
Yeah, Mike raises a good point. I think by the time we got to this on our show, we had done like a bunch of mummy movies. We had started doing like the Scorpion King branch off of that, So like
You're still doing.
we were doing. Yeah, well, we have not finished yet. Yeah, so we're almost done. But yeah, it came along at a time where we were really thirsty for something traditional, kind of gothic. We wanted to get back to those roots, the things that we really loved about the original movies. I think that definitely colored our episode a little bit, but I maintain that I really love Joe Johnston's remake of The Wolfman. The only thing that I don't love about it, and I've never loved it about it, I saw this in the theater with my grandmother who had like grown up watching Wolfman movies. So like that was a special experience for me. The one thing I don't love is that like they are really telegraphing Anthony Hopkins' heel turn the entire movie. Like there's no shock when he is revealed to be a werewolf also. Spoiler. It's the way he's playing the character, maybe. But they really just don't mask that at all. So when that reveal happens, I'm just like, oh yeah, I've been waiting for this the entire movie, and that doesn't help when the movie already kind of feels a little bit slower and expository at times, especially through that first like 30, 45 minutes. But for the most part, I love this movie.
I just had a problem. I'm always looking to like identify and celebrate a lady character, and I just couldn't.
That's fair.
Do that this time. And the original is the same. She's like less wayfish than the original, but the original was just like dripping in atmosphere and vibes and nostalgia. And this kind of, as like someone that like it's not connected to it and seen it once, so it's like a little bit more dead behind the eyes, a little more like 2010 I guess it wasn't that CGI, but it felt kind of 2010 CGI, 2010 like filter.
Did you watch the director's cut or the original theatrical cut?
I know you told me to do director's cut, but I don't think that's what I did.
Okay. So not that it makes a huge
I didn't bring it up.
Yeah, not that it makes a huge difference for her character, because I do agree with you. I think that they could have done a little bit more. I do think it was a good thing that she's not like pure love interest. She is the wife of Lawrence's brother, so there is that sort of thing going on. But I love the director's cut that she, instead of just writing him a letter, which is what happens in the theatrical cut, she just writes him a letter and he shows up. She goes to him. She like crosses the country to go find him and say, hey, we need your help. Your brother's missing. I need you to like come home and help us find him. And so she's given a little bit more agency. She's a little more Emily Bluntish, which is a good thing. And so, I think that, not that it makes a huge difference. I do think that the director's cut handles her character a little better.
Yeah. Dan and I mentioned this on the show as well, where we were like, why does she give her more to do? Like, she should kill one of the wolves or do something. And like, she even owns the store that she owns in the original, but we don't find out until the third act. It's like, well, what good does that do now? Because we don't realize that, she's a female business owner, which is giving her something. And at that
time,
the time,
for now,
and she's not a madam, like, right? And she's a successful business owner.
that would be cooler.
Independent. Like, she doesn't need any of this money or bullshit, and that's not why she's hanging around this fortune at all. She genuinely was in love with the dude's brother and wants to get to the fucking bottom of this shit. So, like, that could have definitely helped.
I also just not a big Emily Blunt person for some reason. I just she makes me kind of snoozy for some overall reason. Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she's not a typical choice for a period piece, maybe.
Yeah,
this is like a Keira Knightley role,
That'd be better. That'd have been better. I think I would have preferred, of the time. No, even Keira Knightley now. Have you guys seen Silent Night? There's this Christmas movie called Silent Night. It was so fucking sad. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I needed a better attitude for this movie. I don't know. Maybe it's something I should revisit at some point.
Well, I definitely do feel that if you don't have like this sort of, I don't want to say like interest in, but like if you're not looking for something more like those original movies, like this doesn't really give you much more. It's not offering that much new as way as story, lore, any of that kind of stuff. So if you've just watched the original Wolfman and then you watch this,
that's literally what happened. Yeah.
It's like I could see you're like, I just watched the same movie twice, and like the second.
But the tone isn't as good.
No, right. And the first one, yeah, like you got it better the first time, So
maybe
I understand.
Too serious? Maybe a little too self-serious for my tastes. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, the original's kind of playful at times in the way that the 2010 one isn't.
Also, even if it's not on purpose, now it definitely is coming across as.
And it feels cut out of this in ways because I feel like Hugo Weaving has a lot of charm and stuff to offer. And it, like his character was set up to be so important and then sort of truncated. I mean, definitely Anthony Hopkins is the comic relief, whether he likes it or not at this point in the movie. So like maybe that's too much for him to shoulder, as well as being the villain and all this other stuff. But
interesting how this was also a flop. It kind of feels like I don't want to say this to you guys, but every time they try to bring this world back, it's not successful critically or commercially. And it just makes me wonder, do people not want this right now in terms of new monsters? Or if they do, they want the Blum sort of variation.
Yeah, I mean, so when we were talking about other wolf guys that we, love, this is something that I've realized many times. Whenever I'm kind of itching for a werewolf movie or a Wolfman movie, I'm kind of looking around the internet, what are the good werewolf movies? And there really aren't many. If you look across the history of the genre, there aren't many really good standout werewolf movies. Most of them that come out are garbage. And I think there's something about werewolf movies, I think, and I don't know what it is, because there are some really great ones, so many bad ones.
Hard to do, maybe. It's harder. There's the creature.
It should be
that wrong.
I think part of the issue that the Universal monsters, the core guys that we've been talking about so far, I think the issue they run into is that maybe the studio feels like there's some prestige to them because they're 100 years old and they save the studio, and there's all this, and they are, and there is, but also at the same time they're it's entertainment business. Nothing is sacred. You have to get certain things through your head, right? So when this Wolfman came out in 2010, they treated it with too much prestige. I can just feel it where it's oh, we'll give the audience what they want. They don't know. We don't need our finger on the pulse of 2010 horror, or whatever was around then, probably knee deep in Saw at that.
Exactly. Yes.
And it's oh, well, I'm sitting there watching the Wolfman going, well, my favorite part is when the Wolfman eviscerates people and throws body parts all over around and out the town and around the windows and all this shit, and the blood is flying. So what better character to put in the modern day and just let him loose on a rampage, and you have your audience right there. It's just, they overthinking it. They're overthinking it all the time, I feel.
Yeah. Or in the case of Dark Universe, severely underthinking. Or maybe not. I don't know. You're right though. This could have been, taking this into like exploitation gore for like that would be fun. You know, make this Terrifier 4.
Or just like
I think about that scene in the 2010 Wolfman where like Mike referred to the transformation at the hospital, you know, during that scene, and he escapes, and then there's like a whole chase scene through the streets of London. I think about how that would play in a modern like set adaptation. Like that would be amazing. You know, one of the things we loved about the Alex Kurtzman Mummy is the action. You know, like the action is really great. It just, you know, it doesn't fit with the rest of the puzzle. But you could do a sequence like that in a Wolfman movie and it could play really well. You know, I think it's just, you know.
You guys are making me think of Malignant, really. Like when you're describing what it could look like modern day, with like modern day like hospitals or sequences where people are just getting ripped up.
Yeah, not a bad thing.
The James Wan movie was just like crazy tonally, just on steroids. Yeah, and I think that would work here. Like a scene like that jail sequence where people just get like fucked up.
Yeah, and that's another movie about like two sides to the same person. You know what I mean? Like there's so many parallels. I didn't even thought about it. He said it.
And now he's making Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Let's get it.
Yeah. Are we ready to talk about why we're here today, which is Dark Universe's The Wolfman? Yeah. We have a little bit of info, and then we're going to do like a brief sort of rundown of what this movie really could have looked like based on the script. So in November of 2014, Universal hired, I'm going to panic on the name, Aaron Guzikowski.
You got it.
To write a reboot of The Wolfman as part of this upcoming shared universe that they were developing. By 2016, we got reports that Dwayne Johnston was going to be or potentially be the main character. And later that same year, we got someone pulled in to do some rewrites by the name of David Callahan. And it wasn't long thereafter that we got the failure of The Mummy in 2017, and everything kind of just fell to shreds. Now we will see what happens, you know, after this iteration in 2016. But for now, I think we're going to talk a little bit about what this script was going to look like. And maybe Dan, maybe just like start us off with the first act. Like, what are we jumping in with?
Yeah, so I should preface this by saying, like, I feel like this should be taken with enormous, like, heaps of salt, right? Like, there's nothing, I don't think there's any way we can actually confirm that this is the actual story, but I have found one other source that credits this idea with Aaron Guzikowski, so could be correct. Still an interesting idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the first act starts in a very unlikely place for a Wolfman movie, in my opinion. It starts in Hawaii.
Yeah.
In 1826, and it introduces this character, this hero character, D.O.A, who is like a member of this Hawaiian tribe. There are like British traders involved. There's a werewolf attack. He gets bitten, and then he has to stay away from his home island for the rest of eternity. That's sort of the deal, right? Because he's now a werewolf. And then the movie makes a dramatic
pivot,
to modern day Reykjavik, Iceland.
Yeah, women love it. We start 1820s Hawaii, and then we smash cut modern day Iceland.
First of all, 1820s Hawaiian. I feel like that's before like they were intruded upon by Captain
so rudely
all in America and all that jazz and everything. So like they were just living.
They were like truly just a couple of islands just in the middle of nowhere.
I love that starting point, like middle of nowhere.
Very literally the middle of nowhere.
I love that.
More middle of nowhere. I love Polynesia. So magical.
And then to jump to the exact opposite middle of
truly like desolate, like fucking Iceland. Okay, so we were talking about being a little bit confused to why Dwayne Johnson was going to be this character. But of course, this is making sense now that this is like a Hawaiian character. And actually, like, I can see him in this role now, really, after taking a peek at this sort of story.
Yeah, and considering he went on to do like Black Adam, like the more I read this script with Dwayne Johnson in mind, the more I'm thinking, oh, they're really going like superhero origin with the Wolfman.
Have you seen Moana? Because he is a shapeshifter from Polynesia in that. So
I have not seen Moana, but I'm not surprised.
I love that.
Great.
Love it. Okay, so we get to Iceland, Dan. What the hell? What's going on in Iceland modern day?
Yeah, then he becomes kind of like he's now living in modern day,
Wow.
wearing really expensive suits, driving really nice cars, and he is a bodyguard for the ultra wealthy. And he gets hired to protect this German biotechnologist who apparently he works for the Frankenstein Corp.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I love that. It's so blunt, you know.
It's Emily Blunt.
It is. And so it turned like we find out that the Frankenstein Corp is like doing all sorts of weird experimentation, trying to create werewolves, not unlike, trying to create super soldiers. And then there's like this gang of like werewolves from all different periods of history who are interfering with those plans and trying to bring our main character into the fold as one of their own, to embrace his wolf side and use it for the greater wolf good.
Just if I may stop for a second, I love, again, this movie has taken its third turn, it seems, at this point, to become like an Ocean's film. Like 12 werewolves breaking into like a lab court.
These are big swings, but I feel like they pay off. Like, I feel like it's serious tonally, but it like kind of works.
I'm feeling it, to be honest, and I'm surprised.
Yeah, me too.
Surprised.
I know, me too. Dan, you're doing a good job.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. And so like there's a whole situation where the guy D.O.A. is tasked with protecting, is kidnapped and ultimately killed by this pack of werewolves. And then he kind of starts to like humor this idea of maybe they're right. And but then of course he has a major conflict with the leader of this werewolf pack. One interesting detail that I kind of didn't even address is that he's just like fucking everybody in this movie. Like every woman he is completely irresistible to. So he's just sex all the time for this guy. So
I love, because we don't get that as often as we should in these werewolf.
Well,
that's part of it.
We don't get it often enough in movies, period. And
I agree.
There's a real issue with this new younger generation that doesn't care about sex. And
No. It's not that they don't care. They
don't want to see it. They actively, like, I'm sorry, but maybe watching stuff isn't for you.
Or like maybe they should leave their houses and meet each other and like have sex in real life.
That's what I'm saying.
Worried about the children.
Stop. Turn off your TV now.
Yeah. Stop playing video games with each other. Or you can, but like,
I'll tell you though, it's the rating, man. He can't go around, sticking it in everything that moves because it's got to be PG-13. Gotta be. So no full frontal werewolf wang.
Were all of these going to be PG-13? Do you think?
Oh, it had to be.
I bet.
Yeah, because every Marvel.
We just got our first R-rated Marvel movie, and it was Deadpool. It's like they didn't even have the balls to go like Thor 4 hard R.
The original Deadpool wasn't.
It was, but
that's all we got. Yeah.
The MCU.
Yeah.
There's also it's not in the notes here, but I do know that the Prodigium is introduced in this movie, although not to the same degree as the Mummy.
Oh, can you talk about that for just? Yeah, you are talking about that. What are your?
Yeah, so like just my personal opinion on this is that like for me it's a little too superhero origin story, but although I know they're kind of going for this like MCU kind of vibe. But then like having Prodigium, the Frankenstein Corps, having, these secret societies of Wolfmen, all of that feels so comic booky. I'm kind of like getting away from
the military stuff. start
like it's getting so far away from the
Mhm.
Wolfman that it's feeling more like Werewolf by Night, you know, like, and I don't know that I enjoy that. It's feeling cumbersome.
I have a bit of a counterpoint and don't know if it's a strong one, but I'm getting more of a sense of like pulp action in a way. Not quite like India. I'm not talking like Indiana Jones kind of shit like in the past, but like nowadays more what's that like Uncharted kind of situation maybe, where it's just this guy is going from one job to another. He's a mercenary, he's a bodyguard, so he's like capable of all this action type stuff, and he keeps getting recruited. And I mean, I don't love all of it. It feels like another Wolverine movie, to be honest with you.
No,
Where, like,
totally, it's
X-Men
darker than that. Like,
yeah, but
Mm.
Logan got really dark. Like, but
that's the
overall,
exception to the rule, though, with Logan.
yeah, true. But overall, I'm digging that serial sort of comic aspect to it. I don't necessarily feel like it's 100% origin story because we're jumping like
It's new.
almost 200 years between all these events. So there's so much story to tell and go back to.
Yeah.
I feel like he's already kind of established in a lot of ways as who he's going to be, but I don't know.
Maybe
you know,
it's that they were going to make this as like the Wolfman and not just a werewolf movie, right? If it wasn't called the Wolfman, I might feel differently because there are some things in it that I do like this gang of like werewolves that sort of bring him into the fold. They're all like soldiers at one point who were turned into werewolves, and they're all from different periods.
Different military, yeah.
Yeah, so like one fought in the Vietnam War, one fought in the Iraq War, one fought in the Civil War. And so like you've got these guys who've been living forever. And so like there is like stuff in here that I do think is interesting.
what?
Where I struggle is like calling it the Wolfman because it's just so far removed.
Well, what if it was called Frankenstein Corp, and then you show up and it's about a bunch of Wolfmen?
Honestly, Frankenstein Corp is a better, like, that's the like the Avengers I want.
Yeah, I want a whole bunch of Frankenstein monster rejects. You know, one has 3 arms, one has 2 heads.
Yeah. Like I like that it's able to very successfully integrate diversity in a way that's not like weird and awkward and just like forced in because they have to. I think it's kind of like elegantly done, and I feel like we weren't seeing that we didn't see that happen in The Mummy at all. So, and I'm doubting we were going to see it happen very much else in the Dark Universe. I think they're like doing an interesting job here. The first act is definitely the strongest. Like that's where things are like the most interesting and kind of out of pocket.
Oh, I can even feel like the rest of it getting like thrown out and rewritten at some point, you know, where it's like, he's not going to do a heist anymore. He's going to do this, or like, it's
you feel
not...
like Predator. You know, did you see Prey?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
It's very good.
And they keep it really authentically just like within, you know, like an indigenous tribe in like a very authentic way. And if they could do that with Polynesian culture in this one without taking them out, I think that'd be really exciting.
Dude, I mean, that's even more interesting. The whole movie took place in the 1800s, like kind of or something like that.
Wasn't it so good you want to cry?
Yes, Prey was great.
God damn. Why did it not go to theaters? Okay, wait, Dan, where were we?
Are we still sort of finishing up the summary here? Okay, so ultimately there's like a fight between D.O.A and the leader of this like werewolf pack. And instead of joining this group of like-minded individuals, or not like-minded, but similarly afflicted individuals, he decides...
Like-minded?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Don't.
He decides that he wants to go out on his own, and that's sort of how the movie ends, where like it's sort of open-ended, possibly going to connect with other monsters, other facets of the Dark Universe, and so on.
Overall, you know, what was your takeaway, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, I think I've addressed most of my thoughts and issues with the idea. Really, ultimately, I think it could be a fun movie. I mean, like it's obviously inspired by the MCU for sure. You know, I get kind of a Black Panther vibe from it in some ways. But Yeah, I think that it's a cool idea. It could be really fun. I don't know that this would have saved the Dark Universe. I don't know that I love it as a Wolfman connected to the Frankenstein, Dracula et al. Mythology, but I would have seen it for sure. You know, like I think that it's got some fun ideas in there enough to perk my ears up.
And technically, all of this information came from summaries we found on the internet.
Right.
And Mike, from your impulse, your heart, what is it telling you about this iteration?
It feels like it's in line with the Mummy movie, right? Like it feels like the same world in a lot of ways, where there's a lot of kind of secret societies and teams and things going on behind the shadows and locked doors that you don't recognize, and you just walk by this thing and like you didn't even realize that was a door to a whole other universe of monsters. But like I don't know. It definitely has too much going on. You know, I love reading about it. I love it, you know, as like an outline, as like a working script, as like stuff that still needs to be developed. But it's like there's a lot of fun ideas, definitely too many again. I think, you know, I like the concept that you've sort of landed on where it's like, just give us the Prey version. Like, let's just like this guy is trying to save someone on a boat in 1820 Polynesian, gets bit by a werewolf, is loose on the island, and now they have to like deal with that and keep it like all, you know, original language with subtitles. Like that would have been phenomenal.
Oh, and he's got like a wife and kid, you know, it's kind of like what they're going to do.
Like they skip over like the most interesting thing. It takes like that first 10 minutes. That opening scene is the movie.
Yeah.
Probably. The rest of this stuff would have been fun to watch, but I agree with Dan. Like in the long run, it's like too much too soon. It's feeling like if this was coming out like second or third, like this is even crazier than like the DC stuff that was going on in the DC universe. Like they weren't even trying to swing this hard with a lot of those movies, you know? They were like, let's just try and keep it reined in as much as possible. This is just like doors wide open, just boom.
I like that about it. It feels audacious though. Like it could, if you had the right guy or lady behind the camera, like I think it could have been nuts. But it wouldn't have been, right? Probably would have been, yes, more in line with the Mummy. Well, that's alternative universe Wolfman. There's a future of Wolfman pretty imminent. As far back as 2020, a new iteration beyond Dark Universe again entered production, and we had Ryan Gosling set to star and produce. We had his sort of collaborator, Derek Cianfrance, announced as the director. They had worked together on, I think, was it the Something Beyond the Pines? They had done some
Place Beyond the Pines?
Place Behind the Pines, yes. They'd done some gritty stuff together, so I think that maybe would have been the tone moving in their film. I also believe they were inspired by what they saw in Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, so that I think could have actually been really fucking cool. But they were replaced, and I believe this is when Lee Wannell, who is like fucking cool, he got in line again with Blumhouse, who he's worked with a lot. He made Upgrade there. I think like he started with the Saw franchise as a writer. I think his first directorial effort was a movie that I love, Insidious 3. It's underrated. Check it out. And then, of course, he did The Invisible Man, starring Elizabeth Moss, and that was a huge success, which was interesting because like we're pivoting from so much failure for so long in the monster world, and then all of a sudden you have this small, totally new direction that works, which I think makes sense. And now they're doing it again. And yeah, the new film that we're going to see in next year, January, it stars Christopher Abbott. We've got Julia Garner. These are interesting casting choices. And it's another small movie about a family who inherit like a really remote home in rural Oregon after a grandfather's disappearance. And then people start to get attacked by a creature at night. And it probably is the dad. So we've got a bit of a trailer. We've got a teaser poster. There's been some backlash over like some mild people, like there was a mild sense of people getting a whiff of what the monster was going to look like and impressed.
Yes.
So there was a little bit of backlash there. I mean, I think it was based on like a Halloween costume to like promote it at an amusement park or something. So I think people are ridiculous, but they had to respond. And the response was, we got the teaser, we got the tone, and it looks totally unique. I'm really psyched. How are you guys feeling about Wolfman 2025?
I'm psyched. I'm pumped. Like, I like that we got the same director as Invisible Man. That might make it feel more in the same world if they want it to be later, you know? And I mean, like, I think he's going to try and bring the same aesthetic as far as playing it straight, serious horror, and trying to get involved like that as much as possible. I like the setting because, I don't know, the trailer gave me kind of like an original Pet Sematary vibe kind of thing, where like I'm getting influence visually from like Stephen King movies and other kind of American horror tropes as far as shots. And I like the setting. I'm kind of cool with us being in America for this Wolfman to start off on.
Mhm.
I mean, the Wolfman's always been an American person, just in a foreign land. And like that was part of the thing about it. Like World War II was coming, and like Larry Talbot went to, you know, London, and it was like, oh, the war is about to break out, but like, here comes the Wolfman. Is that a foreboding message of things to come? Not
Yeah.
the Wolfman soldiers taking.
Yes, that's that
Like,
wolf ladies.
yeah. So I'm psyched. I like the trailer. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, and I love, one of the things I love most about the original Wolfman is how much of it is a story of familial relationships. And also the 2010 Wolfman, it's very much father-son kind of dynamic. And so I like that Lee Wanell is kind of embracing this family nightmare angle. And so even though it's going to be wildly different, this is not Lawrence Talbot, the Wolfman. This is going to be very different. It's small and intimate in a way that really speaks to me. I'm curious to see what they do with those similar themes involving family. And yeah, I mean, we only have the one teaser to go on. It doesn't give us a whole lot, but I'm excited. I was a big fan of what Lee Wanell did with The Invisible Man.
Mhm.
And I think that, hiring him again to helm the Wolfman is probably a smart move. They can build off of that name and reputation
Mhm.
for sure. If I'm worried about anything, I'm worried about there being kind of a sameness to it.
Yeah.
I would like to see him do something a little bit different, but again, we only have a teaser and the name, so there's really not enough information to.
If all they take is like small and intimate,
Yeah.
then I think like I would love to see this whole universe done just with those two sort of notes, and then take it however you want. But
Yeah.
again, you're right. It is like very like domestic abuse. Dads are being not nice.
Right. You can deal with really like heavy themes that can really hit home for a lot of people when you keep the stories smaller, right? Like you don't need these giant globe-trotting stories to be successful. And so yeah, and it allows more room for like metaphor, and you know what I mean? Like, so the subtext can really shine in a story that's this small, or as small as this appears to be. So yeah, I mean, if he's doing similar things as he did with the Invisible Man here with the Wolfman, I think that I'll be really happy with it.
Mhm.
I just hope that he kind of stretches himself as a filmmaker a little bit and doesn't just kind of ride in the same lane.
Mhm.
And that's what I want for any filmmaker that I enjoy. I would love to see them kind
Well,
of
this
stretch.
is someone that has like a lot of potential, but I think maybe isn't like quite a name that we're like automatically just like super psyched about,
Right. I think Lee Wanell is still riding the Saw wave, like he's the
Yeah.
guy who created Saw. And when I tell people, oh, it's Lee Wanell, well, who's that? Oh, he wrote and starred in Saw, like, okay. Now
I mean,
that
he
gets
wrote Dead Silence, the
Yeah.
best movie of all time. Mike, any like final thoughts on the upcoming Wolfman?
I'm excited. I hear what Dan's saying about it being like maybe too close to Invisible Man. I'm hoping that he has some other flair as a director in his back pocket that he has saved for this story. I'm hoping to get a really sick and gnarly transformation sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That better be in there. And I'm open for like a new sort of like extension to the lore. Like with Invisible Man, we got the suit instead of the serum. So what caused the lycanthropy this time? I'm cool if it's still a wolf bite, but like maybe there'll be something more to it. And I'm looking forward to seeing if they add any of that.
Maybe the metaphor is gay dad.
Maybe. Maybe.
That'd be interesting. Wow. I cannot believe we are at the end of this whole miniseries. Feels like just yesterday I was forcing you guys into it. Now it's over.
Well, I'm down for a 5th episode one day.
I mean, I'm down for a sequel series one day, to be honest with you.
We don't have to make this end, like
That's true.
The
power is ours. Honestly, you'll probably hear from me in the future for a part 2 because I think there's more to pull from, And also it's been a blast. Like it's been so fun talking with you guys every week. You guys are so nerdy and know what you're talking about, and I love that.
Thanks. I mean, this you've been so gracious to have us on. It's been such a fun opportunity, and I mean, we love talking monsters, and like you love talking horror monsters. So it appeared to be a great match. So this is just. I hope we get to do some more. It was great.
And the odd couple energy, very funny between the three of us. So
yeah,
I really do love and appreciate that.
I think we got a show. We
do Hollywood. If you wanted to be found on the internet, Dan, where would you be found?
So I'm on pretty much all of the major social media platforms at Dan Colón. You can find anything The Monsters That Made Us at cageclub.me, /the monsters. But the show also has its accounts on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, the whole nine. So like and subscribe, please.
And Mike, are you
yeah, so you could find me on all the platforms at _Mikester, MIKESTIR, and all the other shows I'm on at cageclub.me.
Love that. And everyone can find me once again this week on Gallery this Friday at noon Pacific, 3 EST, talking about Hitchcock.
Thank you so much for listening to Development Hell. If you enjoy this podcast, then please do us a major favor of leaving us 5 stars and writing a positive review. It really makes all the difference in the world. We'll see you next week with a brand new episode of Development Hell.
Thank you for listening to the Dread Podcast Network.